I love the fact that when you're having an emo phase, you don't actually know you're having an emo phase. So you think you're just being really like edgy and you're like, wow, no one understands me, no one gets me. But then when you realize that you had an emo phase, you're like, holy shit, I really had an emo phase. Number one is you get to be ugly for a bit, but you really don't care. Now, through my emo phase, I was really for the dark grunge kind of rock out emo phase. Like, I went through like classic rock and I also went through like screamo rock. And I know a lot of people just go through the screamo rock kind of phase. I was kind of a mixture between both where I was wearing flannels and ripped jeans. I didn't really go into piercings and like tattoos and that sort of stuff because one, my parents wouldn't let me, and I think that happens with a lot of people, and like two, my parents wouldn't let me, that's it. Although I did want tattoos and I did want piercings, but I was just not allowed. So, but that doesn't change the fact that I still looked horribly ugly throughout year 7 and 8. I went through a thing where I think a lot of people did. I used to sleep in my makeup and wake up and I had dark shit under my eyes, and I'd be like, yeah, this is really hot. And my mum would be like, what the hell are you, like, what is that on your face? I'm like, it's makeup, like, it looks good. And then I would just leave. Holy shit. You look back on pictures and stuff, I've never looked so ugly in my life. And I think, like, why did no one tell me? People told me. I just literally didn't care. Like, I think that is a good lesson in the terms of things because you didn't give a shit and you look back and you're like, wow, I didn't care. Like, I really didn't care back then. I care more now than I did when I was in my emo phase. And I think that's really important. Like, to not care sometimes what other people think. If you're really set on that idea or you're really set on something, you can't care what people think because they're just going to drag you down. And that is important. And that was important for me. Number two is that you look at people more critically. Now, through my emo phase, I was very picky about my friends, although I was going through depression and that sort of thing, obviously, when you're going through an emo phase, but that didn't cause it. I was really picky about my friends and I was really critical of my friends. Whenever, if my friends didn't like the same bands I was listening to, I was like, nah, don't want them. They don't understand my culture. They don't understand what it means to listen to alternative music. And I was really critical of them. I remember thinking to myself, I don't like this group I'm in, or I don't like this school I'm in. I even ended up changing schools because I was going through an emo phase and I didn't like the people I was hanging around with. So, and I think it's a good lesson because if you're critical of your friends, like now, you have to think, are my friends beneficial? Like, are they beneficial to me? Do they have similar interests that I'm interested in? You know, do they have a life as well? You want friends that are gonna push you up, not drag you down. And I think that's important. That through my emo phase, I was a lot more critical of who I was hanging out with. Number three is that you find some semi decent music. Now, I'm not talking all emo music because some emo music is trash, and you have to agree with me on that. I listen to bands like Pierce the Veil, Sleeping with Sirens. I went to a Sleeping with Sirens concert, and my parents were there. I dragged them along, and they stood in the back while screamo stuff was going on, and I was alone. And I went in and found friends and shit. Like, I didn't have confidence. Like, holy shit, confidence. Like, wow. Like, I had confidence back then. Anyway, you find semi-decent music. Now I find myself going back to listening to Sleeping with Sirens and Piece of Air. I'm like, damn, this stuff was actually pretty good. Like, and I remember thinking that when I was first listening to it. And you do find decent music. Of course, you find shit music. Like, I don't know. I was into Halsey, but I listened to early Halsey, and I look back and I'm like, I like one song. That's it. I like Hurricane or some shit. But you find some good music, and that is definitely a benefit. Okay, and this is number four. You obsess over a celebrity so much that you never want to do that again. Throughout my emo phase, I was also obsessed with 5 Seconds of Summer. And I know they're not technically emo, but they kind of brought me into emo music because I was obsessed with them. I watched all their interviews. They were like, I'm really into punk rock. So then I started getting into punk rock because they were into punk rock. And I had a huge celebrity crush on Luke Hemmings. as a lot of other preteens did, because Luke was the popular one, not Callum or Mikey or whatever, but I still love them. But I had a huge crush on Luke Hemmings, and I thought we were going to get married, and I was like, holy shit, the importance of that. And then I got over that eventually. As you do with any celebrity crush, you get bored of them, and I just got out of my emo phase because I moved schools. But you think back and you realize that that was really important, because I never want to obsess over a celebrity ever again. I had posters, I had books, I had Instagram pages about this person. Never again would I ever go through something like that. And that is important because even adults obsess over celebrities. And that sounds really rare, but I know that it happens. I remember that when I was like 13, and I was on Instagram like with my account, and I remember I was talking to people who had fan accounts of like Luke Hemmings, and they were legit like 24, 25, like in your 20s, like, and they have an Instagram account obsessing over this one celeb, like, holy shit. And I remember, like, I was 13, like, fair enough, I was 13, but 24 years old, like, you should be doing something else with your time. And I'm glad that I went through that, and I'm glad that that's over now. But after obsessing over a celeb, I never want that to happen again. Number five. Number five is that you realize that you're literally a piece of shit and nothing really matters. After my emo phase, I had a little bit of a think back moment where I thought back of, actually during your emo phase, you think about a lot of things. You think about life, you think about death, especially if you're battling a mental illness as well. It's really awful. And I was thinking about those sort of things a lot. And I remember after you get out of the emo phase, you really begin to think, nothing matters. I can do what I want. I can be who I am. Nobody literally cares that much. Nobody cares that much. And although that might sound like a sad thing, it really was a good thing in my life, because I realized that this is my life. I can do whatever I want that makes me happy, whatever that makes me the best version of myself. And I think that was really great to learn early on, that yes, I am a piece of shit, like nothing matters, like it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, as long as you're happy and as long as you're doing what you love. And I think that's really important to learn in the emo phase. And I think a lot of people go through that sort of thing where they've literally embarrassed themselves that much that dressing like emo, listening to music, alternative music, being just the emo I was, like, oh, you realize that it doesn't matter, and it's good to go through that and mature. That's it. Now, this is to everyone who's going through an emo phase right now, if you're watching, and you might not know that you're actually going through an emo phase. I didn't. I just want to say a few words to you. Good luck. Don't get any tattoos, and don't get any piercings.